Wolf of Fantasy Sports back with the DFS WOLFPACK for NFL Week 1. I go by I Would Hate Me Too across the daily fantasy universe. That's I Would Hate Me Too on DraftKings and FanDuel, Wolf of Fantasy on Yahoo app, and DFS WOLFPACK on Draft app. That's how you can find me. If you want to hit me up, add me to your leagues, invite me to a contest, head-to-head, whatever it may be. That's my DraftKings FanDuel username. That's where you can find me. Welcome to the show. This is a DFS WOLFPACK. What that is it's just a show where I talk daily fantasy sports. I'm a daily grinder. I've been at this since 2015. I've had lots of success. I've had my peaks, I've had my valleys, and as a daily grinder, I just want to share some insight to what daily fantasy sports is all about. So that's DFS. So looking at the DFS WOLFPACK League on DraftKings, we have 1,510 members. This is my league. I run this. I've been running this for the last year, ever since they started. DraftKings, they put a cap on how many players that you can invite, which is at 1,000 now. I sent out 10,000 invites prior to that, but they capped it. It's real annoying. There's some leagues that I'm in that are above 3,800 members. They must have done that before DraftKings switched up the settings, because there were a lot of complaints on invites and a lot of the touts were getting invited repeatedly. So they contacted DraftKings and they put a stop to it. So if you want to join the DFS WOLFPACK, I'll put a link in the description to the YouTube video. You can join the DFS WOLFPACK. Reach out to me on Instagram and Twitter at DFS WOLFPACK, and I'll add you to the league. And in the league, you create your contest or you join contests. Winner takes all, top 3, top 2, top 10, 100-man. And if you want to complete the big league achievements, you can do that in a DraftKings league. That's why you need to join the DFS WOLFPACK. You can get your crowns. You can complete achievements that you can't complete joining regular contests. So DFS WOLFPACK, if you're looking to join a league, join mine. And that's on DraftKings. I also have one on FanDuel if you're interested for that too. Also, if you're looking for advertising, hit me up in the DM on Twitter, Instagram, hit me up on email, dfswolfpack@yahoo.com. I will advertise for you on whatever media you're looking for. That's Twitter, Instagram, or on these videos. Once they get some views, maybe that's something you want to do. One of my favorite sites to check out, and great group of guys, Ryan and Matt, the DFS5pack.com. Now this really isn't just advertising. These guys I've been following since I started DFS. One of the first guys I latched onto was Ryan Kostrowski. Created a great website, the DFS 5-Pack. Quality daily content providers. They'll help you from beginners to experienced. They got it all covered with MLB, NFL, NBA. Hit them up. They're daily grinders. They take this serious. This is their livelihood, and they will get you in the winner circle. You will cash. Their NFL record is great. I think they're like 25-5 in the last 30 main slates. So, in their cash games. So NFL, they got a package going right now. Hit them up before the season starts. Join DFS 5-Pack, and they're on Twitter at Fantasy Tips Ryan and Fantasy Tips Matt. Hit them up direct. They'll message you back as quick as possible and get signed up today. So what I want to do on this video is I want to go over my player pool for DraftKings player pricing. The player pricing was dropped way early this season, which was awesome. We had a lot of time to dissect it and go over that. And I also want to go over some contests to look at. Now, first thing you want to do for week 1 is you want to go to fantasylabs.com. I've had a lot of success using this site. But they have Vegas lines on all the games, and that's really important. So the first game is Thursday. That's coming up. And if you look, DraftKings, first time ever, they're doing a $2.5 million kickoff Thursday Millionaire. They're giving out $1 million in a $10 contest. Now there's 294,000 entries into this contest, which is crazy. That's a lot of people. You're going to have to differentiate yourself here if you're going to want to win that top prize. There's chalky ways to go about this contest, and we'll talk that over briefly here. So if you look, it's top 10 is going to get paid out in 5 figures. So it's a real top heavy tournament. Out of 300,000 people, to get top 10, it's going to be very tough. So first place gets $1 million, and then the drop off. Second place gets 100,000. Third place 50,000, and then it just goes down. You got fourth 25K, fifth 20K, sixth 15, seventh to eighth 12.5, and 9 to 10 10,000. So you're going to want to have to differentiate yourself to a point where you can get into the top 10 if you want a big payday in this $10 contest. Now, ways to get tickets for this contest in MLB, they have 10-cent qualifiers, or satellites, excuse me. 10-cent satellites, you get the ticket to the Kickoff Thursday if you get first place in the 10-cent contest. And those other ones, there's ones for $1 and then $3, $5 that I've seen. I entered the 10-cent ones, I entered the $1 ones, and I've won a few. So I've got a few tickets to this contest, which is cool because I didn't really want to have to come out of my bankroll to pay for a tournament like this. But it's $2.5 million of first place. This is a contest you want to have fun with. It's not a contest for bankroll management. Okay, it's not a contest that's gonna be profitable. But the way I'm gonna attack this contest is a little bit different than others. I will have both sides. I'll stack Philly, but I do believe Atlanta's going to roll on this game. I think it's going to be a close, low-scoring game, but I think Atlanta gets them. I think they win by maybe double digits, maybe low double digits, like maybe 10 points here. But Philly hasn't looked all that great. They're a little banged up. They made some good acquisitions, though, in the offseason, but Nick Foles, quarterback, is he going to keep up the high-level production that he's displayed in the playoffs? I doubt it. He didn't look good in preseason all that much. And they're going to be at home. So we'll see how that goes for them. I just think Atlanta is going to step it up this year and return to form like they did on the Super Bowl run. So my favorite way to attack this 5-1 lineup, I just load up with Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Freeman. I'd probably take Nelson Aguilar, seeing as Jeffrey's going to miss a few games. And then I'd take Atlanta defense and maybe a Hooper, or look at Hooper, someone that is going to be low owned that could differentiate me. Maybe a Coleman sneaks in a touchdown, get some points. So Calvin Ridley, they run a play for him and he executes on like a 60-yard touchdown, something like that. You want to differentiate yourself. And then if you play the Philly side of this, or if you think it's going to be low scoring, you take both defenses, right? And you hope there's some mistakes made and the kickers, come into play and get a couple kicks in there. It's just a low scoring game. So you take the two defenses, take, let's say, one of the quarterbacks and try to pick out a couple of the running back receivers that are going to put up some points. Who you think is going to score? There's ways to attack this, but you get an MVP position. That's 1.5x. So that's like your highest scoring player, or maybe even defense you put in that position there. And then you round it out with 5 other flex positions. That's any other position from tight end, running back, receiver, quarterback. And you enter. And then you have to be at or under the 50,000 salary. So this, for someone who's new to this, there's different ways to attack this. It's all game theory, though. How do you think this game's going to play out? And then make your lineup based on that, and then make another lineup based on, well, what if this happens? That's how I go about them. I've been successful. I've cashed, turned pretty good profit in these type of showdowns. This is Battle of the Birds. And going back to my DFS Wolfpack League, I have a $3 winner takes all, 20 entries, Battle of the Birds showdown in the DFS Wolfpack League. I'll leave the link down below if you want to join that league. Hit me up. Now, looking at what this video is all about, it's the DraftKings Week 1. I'm in the NFL $5 million Roman Fantasy Football Millionaire. There's $1 million to first place. This is a contest you want to have some fun with. For me, this is entertainment. This is like, this would be a dream to win $1 million playing daily fantasy sports. Week 1, it's almost like a free-for-all. The prices are real low on some positions here. Coming off the offseason, you got injuries. You got guys that are going to be lead running backs that were projected at RB3. So it's really a free-for-all. You can do whatever you want. I project the score to be pretty high to win this contest. This isn't something that's like, to build a bankroll, you don't want to dump a ton of money in the Millionaire Maker. Win your tickets to satellites to enter this contest. That'd be my best advice. to try to get tickets into this. I already have 3 tickets into the Millionaire Maker. If you invite people to DraftKings using your link, you get tickets to the showdown. They did last year give out tickets to the Millionaire Maker, which I prefer, but I'll take my tickets to the showdown. I get a few people every season to join DraftKings using my link, and that's the best advice I can give you. Try to win the satellites. So MLB, they're giving out tickets to the Millionaire Maker. I've already won 3, and that's the best way to go about it. Try to win tickets each week into next week's Millionaire Maker. And there's contests, you can find them from $0.25 to $1 to even more to win these tickets. So looking at the DraftKings Live Final, they have qualifiers for $5 all the way up to 4 figures to enter the Live Final. They're giving out $2 million to first place, $1 million to second place for the DraftKings Live Final. And that's something that'd be a dream of mine, to enter the contest and win a qualifier ticket, and then to win it, and get that DraftKings belt and get the trophy and all that. So those are goals of mine as a DFS player. That'd be something I'd like to achieve in the long run. And then build a resume, have 4 or 5 live qualifiers, live finals under my belt. That'd be something I like to achieve. So look into that. DraftKings gives out $2 million at first. They have a $10 million player pricing, like $10 million altogether up for grabs. And if you look at FanDuel, they have only $2 million. So the top prize for DraftKings that they're giving out, the $2 million, that's the entire money that's involved in the FanDuel Live Final, which is kind of a joke. They're giving out $500,000 in first place, and it is what it is. It seems like they give out $500,000 to first place this year in their MLB Live Final. FanDuel did, and I mean in the past, even DraftKings was giving out a lot more. So if you look at that, or DraftKings gave out $500,000, but in the past they've given out $2 million of first place. And in the past, DraftKings gave out, $5 million for NFL for the Live Final. This year it's $2 million. It's a great, you can't ask for more. That's a lot of money up for grabs. So a lot of sharps, a lot of pros, they're going to be fighting for these tickets. So it's going to be really tough to qualify for this tournament, for the Live Final, the $10 million up for grabs there. So look into that. I want to break down the topic of this video, which is the player pool. This is the DFS WOLFPACK player pool. If you're new to DraftKings, if you're new to DFS, this should guide you a little bit for week 1. Looking at the quarterback position, a little game theory here, a little strategy. I like to pay down for quarterback, especially for cash games. If you're for GPP, you want to have exposure. I'll run mass multi-entry and low dollar stuff just to have exposure to certain teams and certain stacks that I want to have a piece of. But looking at Tom Brady, you want to go to Fantasy Labs, look at the game, look at the total. It's one of the higher total games, New England versus Houston. They're projected to put up 29, and Tom Brady's going to be in play here. I'd run him in GPP. If I'm making a GPP lineup, I want to have a Tom Brady lineup, pair him up with Gronk, pair him up with James White. Looking at Burkhead, got some type of injury right now. He might not be a full go. I just think, you find Chris Hogan, you find a couple guys to pair up with Brady, and you run that lineup. So I think Brady's in play for GPP. Don't like him in cash, too expensive. I think I can get around that amount of points with a cheaper quarterback. So looking at Cam Newton, I think he's in play. He's got rushing upside. He's got weapons this year. He's got Greg Olsen back. He's got Christian McCaffrey. DJ Moore could come into play. And he's got Funchess. So I like the offense a little bit here. I think he's in play for GPP. Don't like him for cash. Looking at Breeze, New Orleans, they got a high total, team total. So you want to look at that. They're projected to put up some points here. Actually projected to put up more than New England, just by a little bit. So looking at Drew Brees, he's in play. I'll have him in a GPP line. And you pair him up with Michael Thomas, even Kamara. Differentiate yourself with the running back, wide receiver. And you can also look at some of their secondary receivers and whatnot. It doesn't have to be their wideout number 1. Looking at Deshaun Watson versus New England. If you remember from last year, this game was a hell of a shootout. So looking at Watson, he's definitely in play. Coming off the injury, though. He's high priced. He'll be in some GPPs. I won't have him in my cash game. But he's one of my favorite players to watch, and I hope he has a good season this year. And he's got a pretty good team. He's got the wide receiver. There's a sleeper tight end I'll bring up that could come into play here, and we'll talk about that in the tight end position. But looking at Ben Roethlisberger versus Cleveland, Le'Veon Bell's a big question mark. So Roethlisberger could have a hell of a week putting the ball in the air, 6,600. He's on the road though. If you know Roethlisberger's history, playing DFS for the last 3 years, he doesn't perform all that well on the road. It's Cleveland. Their defense has improved. So I really don't like Roethlisberger all that much. But without Bell, it being a question mark, you don't know if he's going to play. You don't know if he's going to be limited like he did last season, missing the training camp, missing the preseason. So you would think Roethlisberger be forced to throw the ball in the air. Cleveland's going to be more competitive with all the weapons. So Roethlisberger would potentially have a really big game. I'll have him in a GPP lineup to have exposure and to see if I could win one of those $3, $5 tournaments off a Pittsburgh stack. But he won't be in my cash games, but he's definitely in play because I think Cleveland can keep up and make this a competitive game. Could be somewhat high scoring here. Let's see what Vegas thinks. We've got, there we are. So Pittsburgh 26, Cleveland 20.5. So you would project Pittsburgh to win this game. We'll see if Le'Veon is back week 1 or if it's Connors. We're gonna have to see here. So that'll be leading up to game time. I might throw a couple more Pittsburgh lineups out there with Roethlisberger and Brown and go from there. Looking at Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is now with the Minnesota Vikings, new team. He's got a whole new offense here. He's got a running back. He's got a tight end. He's got Diggs. He's got Thielen. He's got Rudolph. He's got Delvin Cook. He's got Latavius Murray. So a whole new offense here. I like him at 6,500. I think he's in play. I'll have him in a GPP line. Won't be my cash game quarterback. And, is Minnesota due for negative regression? Are they going to be a better team? Who knows? I project them to be fine this year. I think they'll be one of the better teams in the league. And I think Cousins will be all right here. I think he's an upgrade from the other quarterback that they had in Case Keenum. So looking at Phillip Rivers, great play here at home versus Kansas City. And you want to look at teams that are at home too. That has a lot to like. Drew Brees at home in the Superdome. You got Tom Brady at home, Carolina at home. I tend to target quarterbacks, give them a boost if they're at home. So Phillip Rivers, Cousins, they're all at home. Good spots for them. Looking at Phillip Rivers, I think he's in play. KC's defense did not look all that great. They gave up a lot of air yards, I believe 250 plus last year in the air per game. So I think Rivers is in play. Pair him up with Keenan Allen. You can also look at, what's his name? Wide receiver Mike Williams. He could be in play here. You got Tyrell the Gazelle. Is he banged up? We don't know, but we love those GIFs on Twitter of the gazelles prancing through the meadows there. So looking at Phillip Rivers, I think he's definitely in play at 6,400 if you're paying up. These are the guys I like. I like Cousins, Rivers, Roethlisberger, Watson, Brees, Newton, Brady. They're all in play here. So I think Rivers is one of the top options, and he might come in a little bit lower owned than a Cousins or than a Watson or a Brady. So looking at Marcus Mariota, I really don't want to target him at 6,300. I prefer the other quarterbacks in that range. Same with Wilson. I think his offense, he lost. Man, I think they only have a few players left from that Super Bowl run. So I really don't like Wilson. That's a wait and see approach, but I don't want to target Wilson on the road versus Denver. I'm off of that. I'm off of Mariota. Won't have any exposure. If they go off, I'm just going to lose, or I'm not going to cash as high. Looking at Andrew Luck, he's got something going on with his foot right now. I had the choice of Mahomes or Luck as my quarterback 2 in my draft, my last draft season long last night. I chose Patrick Mahomes. I don't know what's going on with Andrew Luck. And you know what? He's a great quarterback when healthy. The team's a little bit banged up. I know they improved the offensive line a little bit to give him some more protection, but they only have a few weapons. The running backs debate is, is it Mack We don't know who it is right now. Max banged up. So what are you going to do? I just really don't like any of his weapons. I don't see them being that productive this year. Staying away from Andrew Luck for week one. The matchup's okay at best. So looking at Pat Mahomes, Chargers, they're missing one of their better cornerbacks. They have a good D line. They can rush the quarterback. Mahomes could make some mistakes here, maybe throw a pick or two. At 6,000, I think he's a GPP play. He's got one of the best selection of weapons from tight end to receivers to running back, and he's got a good offense coordinator and all that. So, I mean, Mahomes could be like a one hell of a sleeper play week one. I think this kid's got all the potential in the world to be something special in the league. I just don't know if it's week one versus the Chargers. We've seen what the Chargers can do to rookie quarterbacks. This is Mahomes' second year, but it'll be his first year starting. He played a few games last year, started the preseason. He's looked all right, and then I think he's in play, but he's definitely GPP, not cash. One of my favorite quarterbacks here under 6K is Andy Dalton. Looked good in the preseason. He's got weapons. He's got Mixon. He's got Ross. He's got AJ Green, and Indianapolis' defense, they give it up. Definitely in the air. So I like Andy Dalton to throw 2 to 3 touchdowns here. Tyler Eifert, if he plays, we know what kind of threat he is in the red zone, catching touchdowns. So Andy Dalton, I think maybe Mixon could get 3, 4, 5, targets in the air. Andy Dalton could potentially throw up to 3, 4 touchdowns. That's a ceiling for Andy Dalton. I think if you look on your waiver wire for season long, Andy Dalton's sitting there in most leagues, most 12-team leagues. So I like Andy Dalton. He's probably in consideration top 2 for my cash game quarterback week one. So I really like Andy Dalton, and we're going to throw him in here. So we're going to do a build. This will be my week one DFS Wolfpack player pool build. Just some players that I really like. Underneath Andy Dalton, you got Jimmy Garoppolo against Minnesota. I don't love that, but versus Jacksonville last year, he had himself a pretty good game versus a really tough defense, if you remember. So 5,700, that's one hell of a GPP flyer pick. I won't play it. I don't even know if I'll have a share of them at all. Same with Bortles, 5,600. He lost one of his receivers, Marquise Lee. He's got Westbrook. He's got Keelan Cole. He's got Fournette. You want to target tight ends versus New York Giants. That's like they funnel their defense right to the tight end. That's how you beat them. Bortles, I mean, he could be one hell of a flyer pick as well. We don't know what this New York Giants defense is going to look like. So maybe I'll have one share of them. Put him with Cole, put him with Austin Seferian-Jenkins, and maybe you throw in, be a little different. You throw in a Fournette. Hopefully he catches 1 or 2 out of the backfield, takes it in. Looking at Alex Smith, I'm off Alex Smith week one, 5,600 versus Arizona. I don't love him. I've never been a big Alex Smith believer. He's a decent quality quarterback. He'll get you in the playoffs, but big games, he'll let you down in the playoffs. And I don't know if I want to target that week one versus Arizona. Alex Smith, he's got the tight end and Jordan Reed if he's healthy. Right now he's projected to be healthy, so maybe you make a lineup where you take him and Jordan Reed or something like that, and just, I don't know. The running back situation's all messed up. You got Adrian Peterson. You got Thompson. So maybe you take Thompson, Alex Smith. Thompson didn't really get any play in the preseason. He's coming off the injury. I just don't love it. I might not have any shares of Alex Smith. Winston suspended. Ryan Fitz tragic. I won't play any of that guy. As a Buffalo Bills fan and native, I live near the stadium. I know what Ryan Fitzpatrick's capable of. Fitz tragic, and that's the bottom line. I'm not messing with that. New Orleans defense is pretty solid, so I'm staying away from Tampa offense, except for one player at the running back position that I think is viable for week one. Looking at Dak Prescott, this could be a GPP play at 5,500 that might pan out. I could see Prescott getting about 15 to 20 DraftKings points. I think that's very possible, but it's not something I want to put a lot of money behind. So Prescott's in play. his offense is just a huge unknown. And I think for Carolina week 1, there's no real tape on what they're going to do, how they're going to scheme. Is Elliott going to catch more from the backfield? Is he going to catch more out of the backfield, pass catching? Who knows? Allen Hurns, you got Beasley. We'll see. They got a tight end that I want to bring up here as well. And his name is Joff Swaim. Not sure how that is pronounced, but a tight end for the Cowboys. And with Gathers, with his issues off the field, we don't know. So he's got a tight end. We don't know if he's any good. He might be a sleeper. We'll see. I'll talk about him later. So Prescott is a flyer pick, GPP flyer pick. Tyrod Taylor, he would be my cash game quarterback in this matchup, but I think Pittsburgh defense is tougher than what Andy Dalton's going to be facing. So Tyrod Taylor is 5,400, Andy Dalton's 5,800. I like Dalton's matchup better. I like his weapons, and I would prefer Andy Dalton in cash games over Tyrod Taylor. And he's questionable at the moment. And, you know, Tyrod coming from Buffalo got us into the playoffs and all that, great. But he's a very limited quarterback, and he's a great backup quarterback. He can win you some games. It's only a matter of time for where Baker Mayfield takes over this offense, and I can't wait. It just takes one concussion with Tyrod or a leg injury, running the football, whatever. It's going to happen. It's going to happen soon. I'd say within the first 7 games, you'll see Baker Mayfield in there, maybe even sooner. Tyrod, he would be my cash game, but I don't love it. If I had another option, which I do, it's Andy Dalton. I prefer him. Looking at Tannehill versus Tennessee, I don't love it. 5,300, never been a big fan of this guy. I'm off it. Won't have any exposure. No exposure to Bradford versus Washington. No thanks. Case Keenum. Now, this is a sneaky GPP play here. Case Keenum versus Seattle. Seattle's defense is nothing like it used to be. The Legion of Boom, Legion of Doom, Legion of who knows what. Like, who knows? Seattle could be really bad this year. So Case Keenum, pair him up with Sanders, maybe even Freeman. Who knows? Get weird with it, and you could probably take down a GPP with Case Keenum. If he throws 2-3 touchdowns, he could hit value here at 5,100. Fitztragic, no way. Not touching him. No thank you. Looking at Joe Flacco. Here we go. 4,900. I think he could have a decent game here. I think he could put up 15-plus DraftKings points at 4,900. I will have exposure to him. I will definitely have exposure to him. If you've seen in the preseason, Buffalo doesn't look all that good. It could be one of the worst teams in the league, sad to say, as my favorite team, as the team I root for, the city I live in. But Joe Flacco definitely in play here, 4,900. He's going to allow you to pay up for running back, to get the Alvin Kamara, to pay up for Antonio Brown, and to pay up for the Baltimore Ravens defense, who I project to be one of the best defenses of the week. So going any deeper, there's really Eli Manning. Okay, 4,700. He's got weapons now. That's another GPP play. That's not a cash game play. And that is it. That is it. So if you want to pay way down, guys that can potentially hit value here, it's Eli Manning, Joe Flacco. I prefer Joe Flacco. You got Joe Flacco, Case Keenum. I prefer Joe Flacco. Buffalo could get beat on the deep ball, and they can get beat in the run, so I think he's in a good spot to put up some points here. Probably 2 touchdowns for Joe Flacco, I would say. Hopefully 3 in my lineups for their sake. Keenum, he's okay. I prefer Flacco there. And then above Keenum, you got Prescott. I would probably roll Prescott in that situation. I'm not sure yet. That's real close. But my favorite cheap quarterback as of right now is Andy Dalton. His matchup with the Indianapolis Colts, their defense, that's who I want to pick on. So I'm taking Andy Dalton out of the quarterbacks. Looking at the running back position, we go up to the top here. You got Le'Veon Bell, big question mark. Hasn't reported to the team yet. He missed training camp. He missed preseason games. We saw what happened last year. I will have no exposure to this guy week 1. I don't care what happens. Cleveland, their defense has improved. They were a little bit better with the run, stopping the run last year. I know people tried to pick on him. It didn't work out for him. Running backs versus Cleveland. So I'm completely off of Bell, complete fade week 1. That's just me personally. I wouldn't recommend that to everybody. Maybe You got to see what happens. But I am completely off this guy. I didn't even draft this guy anywhere. I didn't care. I've seen him last night. He went first in my league draft. So, you know, whatever happens, happens with me in my DFS year. But I'm off Bell. Don't want any piece of him right now. I'll target him later in the season if he turns out and checks out. So looking at David Johnson, this guy had a wrist injury, and he's dropping in drafts and season longs. And he went from the #1 overall pick last year, now after the injury going to like the 5th, 6th pick, and I think he's still going to have a good season. It was a wrist injury. It wasn't a leg injury. I think he's fine. I think he's going to be a workhorse back. I think he's going to carry this team to some wins. And I think he's in play week 1 versus Washington. I really do. I like this play. 8,800. You're paying a hefty penny for him, but he's definitely in play. And as Al Smizzle would say, team jam him in. You got Kamara, David Johnson. With all the value here at quarterback, at running back, you could take 3 in your flex. Tight end, there's a lot of cheap tight ends we're going to go over. Even defense, a couple cheap defenses you could target. You can take 2 of these guys easy. You can take a David Johnson and Kamara. So I love David Johnson this week. He's in play. I'll have some exposure. Alvin Kamara, no Ingram, definitely in play. We saw what this offense was capable of last year. Tampa Bay, I target running backs versus Tampa Bay, of course. 8,500. He's expensive, but I think he gets 20 plus this week. Week 1. Looking at Ezekiel Elliott, this is an unknown 7,700. I might have 1 lineup, 2 lineups with him, but I much rather pay up, find the money for Kamara than take Ezekiel Elliott. Looking at Fournette, Fournette definitely in play versus the Giants. I like that 7,100. I'll have some exposure, not that much though. Looking at Kareem Hunt last year, Hunt went off versus the Chargers in both games, so I really like Hunt. I think he might come. He won't be that high owned. I don't know what his ownership might be, about 10% around there, give or take. I'll take Kareem Hunt, 6,900, have some exposure there. Looking at Gordon, and you know what? We're going to throw in Kamara in this build here. This is a cash game build. I want exposure to Kamara for week 1. And I'm sure he'll be popular. He'll be one of the most popular high-priced running backs of the week. But whatever. I'll win with my other positions. Looking at Kareem Hunt, I like him. Melvin Gordon, he went off versus KC at home week 1. I like that, 6,800. Barkley, this is a wait-and-see approach for me, 6,700. Pretty solid price. But I'm going to limit my exposure to Barkley. Maybe just 1 lineup with him week 1. McCaffrey. Now this, from what everyone's saying this year, all the touts, preseason, the coach of the team, McCaffrey, all these carries that he's expected to get. Maybe at first this works out for him, but I don't think the heavy load, I don't know if he can carry it deep into the season. But at first, at 6,400, he's definitely a viable play. I'll have exposure to him week 1. Dallas, I think you can beat them in the backfield, pass catch and running back. I like that a lot. He's getting some carries around the goal line now. We'll see what happens. So CJ Anderson didn't really get all that much usage. I thought he'd be the goal line back, but seems to be McCaffrey is the every down back for the most part. So we'll see what happens. I think he's in play 6,400. Definitely in cash games. I think you're going to see a lot of McCaffrey. Dalvin Cook, Latavius Murray. Is it a running back by committee? I mean, Dalvin Cook's the starter, but I could see Latavius Murray being a vulture to some touchdowns here. So at 6,200, I'm paying up for McCaffrey. I'll have limited exposure, if any, to Dalvin Cook. Now, what I like here is Joe Mixon, 6,100 versus Indianapolis. I think he's in play. I think he's going to get some goal line opportunities to score some touchdowns. I project Cincinnati to win this game. This is all game theory. So I do like Joe Mixon. Looking at LaShawn McCoy, he's off the exemption list, commissioner's exemption list, whatever. LaShawn McCoy, this guy is something special, I tell you. He gets out of all the trouble he's in. He finds a way. With the cops last year that he beat up in the club, he was on video kicking some undercover cops for a bottle issue at a club. He got out of that. He didn't miss no time. Now a girlfriend staying at one of his places. He tried to get rid of her. He's going through the court. She wouldn't leave. She's got jewelry. Allegedly, a goon went over to the house, to the residence, pistol whipped the girlfriend, beat up on her, asked for the items McCoy was asking for previously. He's been talking to police before the home invasion, telling the police that this girl won't leave the house. She's causing problems. A man in my position, all this stuff. So you got to look at McCoy and wonder, is he going to make it through the season? Now he's dropping in drafts and season long. Like I was going to pick him up last night, but somebody ahead of me, like 2 spots ahead of me, had they were auto drafting, and I knew McCoy was going to get thrown to their team because he needed a running back, and he was top of the list in the projection. So I missed out on McCoy. I could have got him in like the 8th or 9th, 10th round or something. He's dropping low. He's dropping low. Closer to the season gets, he's just dropping in drafts. Nobody wants to touch him. And week 1, I mean, 6,000. You give us that price last year, he'd probably be 50% owned on a GPP slate maybe. So I would say McCoy is a flyer pick GPP, but I don't want him in my cash games. And that's going to be a tough game for them. Their offense looks horrible. The offensive line doesn't look that good. So I'm staying away from McCoy. Looking at Drake versus Tennessee, I think he's in play here, 5,900. I don't love him, though. Don't want no exposure. I completely faded McKinnon in season long, and I've been drafting for 3-4 weeks now. And luckily I did. People were trying to trade him to me after our drafts. I didn't want no part of this guy. I could have picked him up for nothing. I didn't want no part of this guy. I'm not a believer with San Fran that he was going to do much. Even when healthy, I think he was all right, but nothing that I wanted to please. Like, I didn't want no part of McKinnon. Feel bad for anybody who drafted him. Ingram, he's out. Looking at Collins, good play here, 5,600 versus Buffalo. Buffalo should be trailing. They should have a lead, and they should be running the football, running out the clock. Derrick Henry is an unknown, 5,400. Is he going to get a lot of the workload? I think I had to take Derrick Henry and Lamar Miller as my 2 running backs in my draft last night, and I got to bank on them having big seasons to carry me. Just because I had 12th pick in a draft and I missed out on all the running backs. So I said, you know what? If I missed out on all the running backs, I might as well with my next 2 picks, because I had the wraparound 12th and then the next pick. I just went with Derrick Henry and Lamar Miller with my 3rd and 4th pick of the draft, and I'm hoping for them to have big seasons. So we'll see what happens there. But Derrick Henry, I think, is in play here at 5,400. He's going to be low owned. Lamar Miller, you saw his production with a healthy Watson. Lamar Miller is in play as well at 5,200. They get around the goal line, he runs them in. I could see him punch 2 in, high total. And his production with Watson and the offense being healthy, defense looking good. I think Lamar Miller is going to be in play here, especially if they get a lead. They get a lead going in the second half. I think Lamar Miller is going to definitely be in play. He could pass, catch, and he lost some weight here. So he should be in the best health, best shape of his life. 5,200, I like Lamar Miller. Geis is out. Sonny Michael is injured. I think the guy here for New England is James White. We'll get there. Chris Ivory, I'm off him. Don't want no piece of that. No Yeldon, no Jones. Now these prices came out a while ago, so when you're looking at these players from top to bottom, you're thinking to yourself, what's going on here? Deion Lewis, 4,900. I don't like his price. I think he could be in play. Maybe get you a touchdown. Maybe get you like 12 DraftKings points, but I'm not going to play him. I'm not going to play Murray. He's gonna vulture Delvin Cook for some touchdowns here and there, but I'm not playing him unless the other one's injured. Marlon Mack should be out week 1. I'm not sure about that yet, but I don't want him. Penny, I'm off that. Duke Johnson Jr., I'm off that. No way, not week 1. Chris Thompson could be in play here, but he didn't get any preseason action, so I'm off him. Peterson, I don't want no part of it. 4,700. If he goes off, I just won't have a piece of it. Looking at Breda, no thanks. Booker, nope. Rod Smith, I'm off. Looking at Carlos Hyde, could be in play here versus Pittsburgh. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. I like this guy at 4,500. I think he'll be all right. If he's healthy, he should be a viable running back. He could pay off the salary quite easily. Looking at Connor, if there's no Le'Veon Bell, 4,500, who do you go with, Hyde or Connor? I think they'll be throwing the ball in the air. I'm off Connor, but he could possibly be in play. It's like a GPP tournament flyer there. Looking at Freeman, here you go. Denver, 4,500 versus Seattle. I can see this guy paying off his salary here. Carson, I don't want no part of. 4,500, I'm off that. I don't like the Seattle offense at all, but this Freeman guy, in the $4,500 range, you've got Hyde and Freeman at the top of the list, definitely. And then you got Peterson there, which I'd rather play Freeman or Hyde. And then in that order, I'd probably go Freeman, Hyde, and then Peterson in this price range for me. I'm skipping over these guys. I don't even want to talk about them. Edmonds, Gio Bernard, he could get a touchdown, but no real ceiling, extreme like 25-point ceiling there. So nope. Looking at Rex Burkhead's questionable, right, with the knee preseason. You didn't really see much of him. I think James White's the guy here. And another guy in this price range is Peyton Barber. So a lot of you're seeing Burkhead go high in drafts. I think James White's the guy that's been proven. He's been there for Brady. And in a high total game, should be a lot of scoring. I prefer James White over Burkhead. And he's way down the list. We're going to find him in a minute. But I think Peyton Barber's in play. 4,100. Should be trailing this game. Peyton Barber, he did pretty good last year. Fitzpatrick had a rapport with him. I think Peyton Barber's the play here at 4,100. I will have exposure in GPPs to this guy. 4,100 Peyton Barber. Looked good in preseason and all that. Now, if I'm paying way down in the 4,000 range, I'm taking some flyers on James White. This guy's been proven for New England to come through Super Bowl, and I like James White here at 4,000. I think he's in play with Burkhead a little bit questionable. I think James White could catch 5 to 7 passes out of the backfield, something like that, and could probably run the ball right around there 5 to 10 times. So maybe he sees 10 targets. Maybe sees 5, maybe sees 10. Who knows? This game could get real out of hand here, and maybe they trail. They got to throw the ball. I think James White's in play. And that's about where I stop here for running backs. James White is the cheapest running back. And you know what? We're throwing him in this lineup here. I think he's in play week 1. Looking at wide receivers, go up to the top of the list. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Antonio Brown definitely in play with Le'Veon Bell being questionable. I think Antonio Brown's one of the top receivers to pay up for, and I'm throwing him in this lineup here. This would be this lineup build. Antonio Brown, that leaves me with 4,600. Other receivers I'm looking at, Keenan Allen. Love Keenan Allen here at 7,500. I think he's definitely in play. Hopkins is in play, high total. Watson's back. Offense is a full go. Michael Thomas should be good for 20 DraftKings points here if you're paying up. These are all great options. AJ Green, I like Andy Dalton. I like AJ Green, 7,300. Odell Beckham, price is low, but I'm off him versus Jacksonville. Thielen, I prefer Diggs here, so I'm off Thielen. I think Thielen had one hell of a connection with Case Keenum, as he liked the slot receiver. Keenum tended to target the slot. I think with Diggs is more suited for what Cousins can do. So I like Diggs, and he's cheaper. So T.Y. Hilton, I'm off him, 2,800. Don't want no piece of him, but he is at home. So he's definitely going to be low owned. I just won't have any exposure, but I could see him having a good game at home with a healthy Andrew Luck. Mike Evans, I'm totally off. Fitztragic, no thank you. Fitzgerald, he's going to get some targets. 6,600, I'm off him week 1. Tyreek Hill, 6,500. Yes, he can catch a 60-yard bomb, but for week 1 in this price range, I choose Diggs at 6,300. I think Tyreek Hill's in play though, but I like Diggs here at 6,300, so I'm throwing to him in this lineup for sure. Now, Chris Hogan. I'm off Baldwin, by the way. I'm off of Seattle for week 1. I don't like their offense. He's questionable. Chris Hollywood Hogan, former Buffalo Bill. This guy with Brady is gold. This is fantasy gold. This guy dropped in drafts. He's their wide receiver 1 right now, Chris Hogan. So 6,100, he's definitely in play. I want exposure to him. I don't know if I'm going to throw him in this lineup because I want my second receiver to be cheap. And I really like Keenan Allen. There's a lot of guys up here that I like, Hopkins and Thomas and Allen and Green. And Hogan, yeah, man, 6,100. I really like that price. He might go in this lineup here. We'll see. Looking at Juju, he's in play versus Cleveland. Edelman's suspended. Josh Gordon's in play, but I think he sees about 5 to 6 targets for week 1. And probably about 2 to 3 deep balls are going to be thrown to him in this game here, and I definitely see him trailing, so he's going to be out there 5,800. I think he's all right. Jarvis Landry is probably your safer play with Tyrod Taylor at the quarterback position. D. Thomas, I prefer Sanders. Corey Davis, he's in play here. I don't love him though, but at this price range, you know, Landry's the guy I'm looking at under 6K. You got Schuster, Landry. Those are my two favorite. And then right around 6K, 61, Chris Hogan. Like these guys a lot. I'm going to have exposure to all these receivers here. Chris Hogan, Schuster, and Landry. Going down, I'm skipping over Crabtree, even though I think he's a good red zone target versus Buffalo if they get there. Funchess, he's viable here versus Dallas, and Fuller, I think he's okay. Q tag on him, got to follow up on that. I think he's all right here in the shootout matchup. Sammy Watkins, he could go under the radar. Didn't look good in with his rapport with Mahomes in preseason. I think he only caught like one ball out of 7 targets. But Sammy Watkins should pick up during the season and should be a viable asset to the Chiefs offense here. I think he's still got a lot to prove, and I think he's one of the better receivers in the league. He's solid when healthy. Benjamin's got what it looks to see is Peterman and Benjamin got a connection at 5,000. I'd much rather go with Sanders. I think Sanders is going to be a popular receiver. I think you're going to see him in a lot of lineups, and we're going to throw him in this one. But I think Sanders is a good play here, and I think as Case Keenum likes the slot guy, Sanders is working out of the slot. I really like Sanders here. He's 5,000. He should pay this off. We're looking at more receivers in this price range. Let's go back. Marquise Lee is out for the year, so you want to find Keelan Cole. He's really, really cheap. Cole could go in this lineup. He might go in my flex spot. So we're looking at Rashawn Matthews coming, missed some time. I don't really like him for week 1. Stills is okay. You got Amendola down there. You got Allen Hurns, the wide receiver 1, projected 4,700. He could be a good play here. I think he has a decent year, 4,700. He's in play off exposure. Marquise Goodwin versus Minnesota. Even if he catches a long bomb, I don't want him. 4,600, not this week. Hopefully his price stays low. He doesn't do anything for week 2. Looking at Shepard, he's okay. I don't love it. Meredith, no thanks. Again, no thanks. In this price range, you got to look at guys like Amendola. I think he'll be okay. Don't love that. And then you got to look at Gallup. I'm off of him for now. Westbrook could be in play at 3,900. John Ross, pair him up with my Dalton. I think he's in play at 3,900. Mike Williams could be in play here at 3,900. These are guys that are definitely in the player pool. Keelan Cole, 3,800. Definitely in play here. And if I go down a little bit further, it's really nobody I want. I mean, you got Tawan Taylor here versus Miami. That could be an extreme GPP flyer pick. But that's as far as I'll ever go. Looking up Keelan Cole, I think he's a great play at 3,800. Mike Williams, viable. I think Cole's a better play. I prefer Cole under 4K. Out of all these guys under 4K, it's Cole. Definitely. And then and Westbrook. Washington for Pittsburgh, I'm not going to even target him right now. Looking at Tyrell the Gazelle, if he's healthy, he could be in play. See if anybody I missed. Allen Hurns. And that's about it. We're going to go to the tight end spot. Now, tight ends, Gronk, Kelsey, high priced, 6,900 for Gronk. The animal himself, 6,900. Great price. 69 for the Gronk. He's in play versus Houston. If you can pay up for him, throw him in there. I got 3,900 left. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to lock in my defense at 3,800. It's going to be Baltimore. Just going to lock them in to see what I'm working with for these other positions. That's my favorite defense of the week. I like to target the Buffalo Bills. I think their offensive line is horrible. That's going to lead to a lot of sacks. I think they're going to pressure Peterman. The game's in Baltimore. And I think Peterman, he's turnover prone. He's going to throw a pick here. Hopefully it's a pick 6. So the Ravens, 3,800. Just lock them in. Looking back at tight end. Okay. 2 teams you want to know if they're on the slate. Cleveland, the Giants. We're going to get there. But Gronk's a great play. Kelsey's a great play. If I have the money, I prefer Gronk. So if I can get there, I'll take Gronk. Going down Olsen, I think he's in play versus Dallas. Healthy, looks good. Delaney Walker, he had a toe issue. Reports are showing he's fine for week 1 at 4,900. I think he's in play, but I won't play him. I'm off of Ingram. Too many weapons offensively. I think he took advantage last year of them having the injuries. and no running back, so Ingram was a huge target. Now versus Jacksonville, I don't want no part of that. Kyle Rudolph, great play for week 1, 4,500. He's going to go low owned. Jordan Reed's 4,000. He's healthy. Why not play him when he's healthy? Week 1 versus Arizona, I like him. Alex Smith targets the tight end, as you saw last year with Kelsey. I don't want no part of Davis. I'm off of Doyle at 3,600 because he's got Ebron. Who knows who Luck's favorite is in that? Clay's viable. I mean, he's leading the Bills tight end for most yards as a tight end. But, I mean, 3,500. The last 2-3 years he was viable with Tyrod. With Peterman, I think he's viable. I just don't like it. 3,500, I'd rather pay elsewhere. I think Tyler Eifert's like a sleeper pick that nobody's going to have. 3,400 could get 2 touchdowns here, if he plays. And he's a full go throughout the whole game. Looking at David Njoku, Pittsburgh's tough on the tight end, but at 3,400, Tyrod likes targeting the tight end, as you saw last year with Clay. I think Njoku is going to be popular at 3,400. You're going to see a lot of Njoku. Okay, so the teams I like to target. Pittsburgh, their tight end is like Vance McDonald, and, I don't know what to do there. I'm not going there. But I like to target tight ends versus Cleveland. So the other option is the Giants on the slate. Yes, they are. Who are they going up against? Well, Jacksonville. Looking at Austin Seferian-Jenkins at 3,200. That's a plug and play. I'm just playing it. That's how it's going to work. So give me my touchdown. Give me my 10 to 15 DraftKings points. And tight end versus the Giants. I think he's good for about 8 to 10 DraftKings points. And I think a floor of 5. So that's my tight end. Is that as low as I'm going to go? I'm not sure. Let me see. Ben Watson versus Tampa Bay. I don't love it, but he's viable. And Hurst is banged up. He's going to miss some time. We haven't seen anything from this guy in preseason. This Mike Gesicki, whatever. Don't like him. Ricky Seals-Jones. He's viable at 3K. Brait. I'm not going to target him right away. Him and OJ. Who knows if they split time? I want to see what happens there. Keep a track on that. Looking at Houston, you got Griffin, and you got another guy to keep an eye on. His name is Steven Anderson. So I don't know who's Watson's go-to guy. Is it going to be Griffin or Steven Anderson? That's a wait-and-see approach for me. And looking at Dallas Cowboys. Let's see if we can get there. His name is Geoff Swaim. Swaim. I don't know how to pronounce it yet. I don't even know where he is. He's got to be 2,500 without a doubt. We're going to look him up here. Yeah, this guy, Swaim. Who knows? Maybe he could be somebody this season, and he's on all your waiver wires. So check him out if you want to get him early. I guess get him early, but there's somebody better there. Maybe he's the go-to guy. Somebody to look at deep dive sleeper in the DFS WOLFPACK player pool. I don't think I'll have any exposure. Okay, that's it for tight end position. So I still need a flex. What do I have left? I got 4,800 for a flex. Let's see here. Go down the list. Murray, Matthews, Mack, Ingram, Stills, Duke, Allen Hurns. He's a good play. I don't think he's my favorite play, but he is okay. You got Freeman for Seattle. I like that. And there's a bunch of guys I like over here. The Barber. I throw anybody in here. Keelan Cole. Throw him in. Let's throw in Keelan Cole for my flex spot. All right, so I have $1,000 remaining salary here, right? All right, so Keelan Cole. All right, so defense. I want to cover the defenses real quick, and then we'll get up out of here. The $1,000 salary, you can do whatever you want with the lineup. You can upgrade a position if you don't like it. This is just a first look build. You can update. Yeah, I could get out of that quarterback in a second here. Looking at defense. Obviously, I went with the Ravens versus Buffalo. The Buffalo no O-line. I think they just pick up sacks. I think they could, with Peterman at quarterback, I think they possibly get a pick 6 here. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 interceptions. Anything's possible with Nathan Peterman. and the options that are available to him offensively. So I really like that. I really like the Ravens defense. I think they'll be the highest owned, 3,800. Just lock them in. Definitely for cash games. GPP, get different. You want to win. You want to separate yourself. Looking at Jacksonville, they're in play with the Giants. Looking at our good friend Eli Manning, he's turnover prone. So the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're in play. The Saints, I like their defense with Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's turnover prone. He could turn into Fitztragic real quick. Looking at the Vikings defense, they're viable, but I think Jimmy G less likely to turn over the football. Looking at Steelers defense versus Cleveland, maybe. Broncos versus Seattle. With Seattle, the way they're looking offensively, they're viable. Panthers could shut down Dallas or limit them. They're viable. But in this price range, you got to pay up. Jaguars, Saints. These three, Ravens, Jaguars, Saints, those are the top three. Definitely. If I'm paying down, definitely not the Bills. Titans are viable versus Miami. Tannehill's first game back. Chargers, Mahomes could throw a couple picks, but I think he's going to put up some points too. So Chargers are okay. Looking at the Redskins, they're viable at 2,800. These are GPP plays. The Bengals, they're okay. Who do I want to pick on? That's what it comes down to. What team do you want to pick on? Well, down here, there's really not any team I want to pick on. Looking at the totals of these games, yeah, that's it. The lowest I'd go in defense would be possibly the Redskins, just due to the fact that the quarterback. Yeah, that's about it. I think just the Redskins is the lowest I would go, but I wouldn't even go that low. I'm paying up for defense. Simple as that. It's going to be the Ravens, the Jags, the Saints, and I go with the Ravens, hands down. I don't care if everyone has them. You win with your other positions. So I have $1,000 left. If I wanted to upgrade someone, it'd be Andy Dalton, even though I like him. 6,800, I could take Breeze. I could take Watson. And I probably just lock in Breeze here. Oh, man, it's 100 more for Newton. You got Brady up there. You can take anybody you want. I really like Dalton, though. But let's say I just lock in Breeze, cash game quarterback, whatever. You got money to lock in somebody else. If you lock in Joe Flacco, and then I could get off James White at 5,900, someone who's more volatile. Could get you 10, could get you 20, could get you 5 type of player. I can get off of him. We look at running back. I can go with a Drake. I can go with an Alex Collins. So definitely an upgrade there. Or I could try to get up to McCaffrey. There's ways you can move up here. Get rid of Diggs. Get another wide receiver that can match him in price. Matches projected DraftKings total. So there's different options here. There's different ways you can go. Leave some money on the board. Differentiate yourself from others. This is just a week 1 first look. This is the DFS WOLFPACK player pool. If you want to join the league on DraftKings, hit me up. DFS WOLFPACK on Instagram and Twitter. I'll leave the link down below for the league. If you're new to DraftKings and haven't signed up yet, use my link. We'll both get a ticket to the NFL Week 1 showdown between the Battle of the Birds. That's right here, the $2.5 million Kickoff Thursday. Use my link to sign up to DraftKings. We'll both get a ticket credited to our account for the Thursday Millionaire Maker. $1 million to first place. Hit me up. Get in the game. Hit up the DFS5pack.com for all your DFS content needs. Those guys do a great job. Highly recommended. Just look through their website. Look at their customers, their winning results, and get a hold of me to join the league. Week 1, good luck. Wish everyone the best of success. Hopefully you see me at the top of tournaments. Hopefully you're right there with me. 1.